Pat Kerrane, a man who won $2 million chasing the legendary upside of a couple of running backs, one named Austin Eckler. I have to ask, for this year, 2025, which undervalued running back near the top of the draft has surprise legendary upside? No Bijan Robinson or Gibbs. Is there anyone that people are sleeping on?
I think people are sleeping a little bit on Ashton Jeanty, who goes at the back of the first round, and I kind of think won't end up going at the back of the first round when it's all said and done, because if you look at his likely landing spots now, he's likely to go 6 to the Raiders, maybe 10 to the Bears. You could see, if he slips past that, you could see the Cowboys at 12. You could see a Broncos trade up potentially. I mean, outside of like the 49ers surprising everyone and making sure they have a bell cow back of the future, and, you know, forcing a split early in his career with CMC, something like that, there really aren't a lot of landmines for him in the most likely spots for him to land in the early first round of the draft. And Jeanty would be a surprising legendary running back, the type of running back who just dominates a fantasy football season, because we don't really see rookies do that. Saquon Barkley is the only rookie to have a legendary season. I don't know that Jeanty's like truly a Saquon Barkley level prospect, but I think he's really, really close. And especially if you value receiving efficiency, which he had in spades in his junior year, in his sophomore year, and then fell off as a junior, but as part of a gigantic rushing workload. If he returns to that kind of receiving efficiency, he could be an absolute smash right away. And I think ultimately he's going to project really well because of the potential landing spots. So you're looking at a rookie who is just unusual in both the strength of the profile, the versatility that he brings as an early down guy, someone who breaks tackles, really good in short yardage, reliable, but also a weapon out of the backfield as a receiver, and then going to get slotted into, I think, pretty much a workhorse role out of the gate, potentially on an offense that's really prioritizing the run like the Raiders, or even an offense that we're really excited about that's built around the run like the Bears.
Generally, the things that would need to come together for a legendary season, and you tell me, you name the site after this. You mentioned the high end receiving, obviously the efficiency in the volume, and then the last piece that maybe is the one thing in question with Jeanty would be an offense that's actually good, that has a lot of goal line opportunities for him. Because if you're on a bad team, which typically a running back going in the top 10 is going to be on, those might be fewer and far to come by.
For sure, but I think something like the Bears is where you not only think about a legendary season now looking very much on the table, but I think you also start to think about him going up near Gibbs and Bijan.
This next question for you here, aren't you worried? I want to know, which player have you mostly been fading through your pre-NFL draft contest, who you are worried about getting burned by, a guy who could be the guy you need that you don't have enough of?
I don't have a lot of the early quarterbacks. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, even Jaden Daniels, I don't have a ton of. Jalen Hurts I have a little more of, but it's really, it's probably Jackson of all these guys. I probably have the least amount of Lamar Jackson. Last year I had a lot of Jackson. He was coming at a discount to Allen. And I think kind of the way the landscape set up, I was just a little bit more comfortable with the early round quarterback. But this year I've been going a little bit more, like I've been taking a lot of Omarion Hampton in the fourth round. Breece Hall falling to the late third, early fourth. I've been scooping him up. I almost used him as the example of the legendary guy, but he's going so late. You don't even need a legendary season. You just need a pretty good season. It'll pay off easily. So it's probably Lamar, but also Allen and also Daniels that are kind of scaring me as far as like the way I'm building. But there's a pocket of quarterbacks that all kind of go, in like round 8 through 12 range that I really, really like. And I'm kind of living there. And I'm grabbing 3 quarterbacks a little bit more often because we don't know when the buys are. And so, 3 quarterbacks within that window is kind of my default. And that leads me away from the elite quarterback a little bit. But I mean, those guys have a clear weekly ceiling that could easily bury me. So that does worry me.
So on the flip side of that, if you are kind of waiting on quarterback, and there are a lot going, like you said, in that pick 90 to 130 range, I want to know, are there any Galbrain stacks that you're trying to pull off, which is basically a rookie landing spot that you're predicting, and we know this is very hard to do, or that you would like to see, and something you might be willing to take a stab on it, say drafting a Tet McMillan and then saying, yeah, I'm going to play him going to Carolina and then go out of my way to draft Bryce Young. Have you indulged that at all?
I haven't done that much, but this question actually got me thinking that I want to do it more. And I've got a decent number of drafts to complete before, the draft. So I think I'm actually going to start doing this. I talked last week on the Leg Up pod with Nick Garisco, who's an expert at mocking out round one. He's confident that the Dallas Cowboys are looking at most likely either Tet McMillan or Matthew Golden, but he does not know which guy to mock there. But he really feels like one of those two guys is a really good bet to land with Dallas. So if I have either of those guys, I think I'm going to start stacking them with Dak a little bit, who I don't have a ton of. And, because unless you have CD, you don't tend to end up on Dak so much. Ferguson goes like around Dak. So I don't tend to be in a position where I'm like, I'm just going to double tap Dak and Ferguson. But that would be a fun one to end up with some Dak, number 12 overall wide receiver stacks.
And what's funny is I was just thinking about, you mentioned how normally the Dak is tied with CD, but like you think about the ADPs, CD going 4 or 5, Tet's now going 4-5 turn, and Golden he's at pick 80. So that's like late 7th. Like it isn't that hard to see how you could line all of those up. Maybe a slight reach on Lamb at the top of the first round. And then just pick off all 3 of those, get a cheap Dak. And then at worst, you're landing one of the double stacks with CD and the rookie. And then you just added another first round rookie, which isn't going to be a bad thing either. As part of Legendary Upside, you have the Sidekick, which is a tool, a drafting assistant tool, can pull in your ranks, can pull in your own ranks if you'd like. And so you can get these suggestions, and you guys will see it here on the screen when we hop in a draft in a few minutes. But I'm curious, which player is most likely to get recommended to you by the Sidekick that you generally would ignore? And you're like, hey, just, I know you have good reasons for suggesting this to me, but I'm going to IKB, I know better, my own tool.
So the Sidekick's it's a dynamic rankings tool, and it's, one of the nice things about it compared to static rankings is that, if you just upload rankings to the site, you're seeing kind of the same name in the same range, and you end up like naturally maybe a bit more overweight on that guy than you even wanted to be. And so with the Sidekick, we're kind of naturally kind of breaking ties a little bit, respecting the market. There's certain parts of the draft that we know are pretty efficient. So part of the appeal of it is that it helps you kind of more naturally build a balanced portfolio as you go. If you don't want to do that, right? If there's a player that you either kind of don't want to be drafting or really do want to be drafting, then that's a spot where I'm going to bully it, because it's like I know better / I want to build a portfolio that's like a little more extreme in a certain spot. That's where I find myself at kind of the early second round when I see Bowers available. And I'm very likely to bully the Sidekick and take Bowers, which means ignoring kind of whoever is currently being suggested, which is sometimes Derrick Henry, especially over on DraftKings. He goes very high, but he goes a little higher than I like on both sites. And so Derrick Henry would be the guy that I'm least likely to listen to, and I'm most likely to go, I'm taking Bowers or I'm taking Jeanty, right? It's like I want big stances on those players beyond what, maybe you would say is the most prudent.
I love the imagery of, there's always the famous Derrick Henry stiff arming gifs, and people superimpose other things, and then you're just stiff arming him back via the.
It's actually him stiff arming me, but as I draft Bowers.
All right, last one here before we hop into draft. I want to know a FOMO dart. So which late round dart throw do you have fear of missing out on? Another guy that you wish you would have more of, kind of similar to maybe the elite QBs.
So we talked before we jumped on about Kyle Williams, who's rocketing up. He's someone that I am trying to get now, but he's kind of moving further up, and so I don't want to go nuts. And there's other guys that I like in that range. So I don't think I'll end up having a ton of him, but someone that I wasn't really drafting early on, and then is someone that, once like Chris Sims has him wide receiver too, but then that evaluation is not necessarily like echoed by other evaluators. But if he is a round 3 pick, then I definitely was kind of missing out on him in early drafts where he was completely free. If he's a round 2 pick, then even where he's risen up to, he's a really strong dart throw. The other guy I would say is not a last round dart throw, but Travis Hunter used to be in the last rounds. And I wish I had more when he was there.
I did best ball breakfast on Monday, and someone took Travis Hunter in the middle of the 5th round. I think it was like pick 55.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right. Yeah. Like we are there. Cause I made the video on this channel a couple months ago, and I was like, he's going to be a top 75 pick. Like, no, and this was at the time when I made the video, he was 130. And so I was trying to be reasonable while still trying to emphasize how much I think he was going to rise. And even I undershot it. It not even be after the NFL draft. I was like, oh, by the middle of summer, he'll be a top 75 pick. It's like, no, we blown past that.
Yeah, he's like a 3rd or 4th round pick if he plays full-time receiver. And it seems like maybe he is, I don't know. I mean, full-time is maybe a strong word, but it looks likely he's going to be the number 2 overall pick, primarily to play wide receiver. So I could see him being in the 4th round post-draft easily.
I hopped us into a big board draft here. We will get this filled in a second. How are you going to end up maxing the big board?
I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
I have about 35 drafts left, and it's Monday the 14th. So we'll see. I think I'll get there. I will get FOMO, and I'll eventually I'm just going to multi-table like the last 10 at once.
There you go. All right, Pat, we are locked and loaded. We got the sidekick up here. We got the 1-7. I also, in addition to the sidekick, have the ranks in. And I think that is an interesting thing you were mentioning with dynamic rankings is sometimes the suggestion will actually be different than the rankings because it is trying to randomize. So you're not always taking the same guy in the same spot, right?
Exactly. That's something I struggle with as a drafter is just, here's the spot where I take this guy. Here's the spot where I take that guy. And breaking out of that a little bit is pretty helpful. Yeah,
for sure. Also, that just reminded me, Pat. So when I listen to obviously ADP chasing or when you're doing your leg up pods, a lot of times like I'll be listening to content when like April's taking a nap and I'll have the monitor near me and I'll hear Vivian and I will freak out. I'll be like, April's already up. I'm like, I just put her down or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, it was just coming from the speakers. It was Vivian, not April. But I get that jump scare. So even now I have a Pavlovian response of like, is April up? Oh God.
TV shows with babies, I can't. They're very triggering because they're like, she's up.
Yeah.
She's up.
We'll see how this shakes out here of where we're at 7. Do you have a personal flavor that is your favorite of the remaining wide receivers here?
Well, I mean, if CeeDee Lamb fell, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and not only that, but we could try to pull off that the stack that you referenced.
For sure.
Okay, Lamb does go. Your guy Ashton Jeanty, a legendary season. Is that something you'd mess around with?
We can pull him up, yeah.
Should we do it?
We can pull him up, yeah.
All right, let's do it. I actually have done a couple drafts where I took Jeanty at like 1-2, I think, just to again get a different combo of players with him because his ADP has been really anchored to this kind of 1-2 turn. So even the player you're going to get with him here at 18 is probably going to be fairly unique. Then you'll see a ton of Jeanty Bowers teams, all of those. Yeah. I do think there's some value in getting some fresh combinations with a player you really like. Wow, we see the bully tight end from the 12. I have not seen this too much. Brock Bowers at 12, Trey McBride at 13.
There's a reason you haven't seen a lot of this.
Yeah. Let's pull up here and see what we're looking at. Like you said, this is kind of a nice pocket here to swing back and get your wide receiver 1. AJ Brown or Ladd McConkey would be here. We are on the clock, both of them there, along with Achane. Anything jump out to you?
So Achane would be the move by a unique combo perspective. I kind of lean towards just getting one of the receivers, but I think either one's fine.
Don't you think AJ Brown and Jeanty will be unique though too? It's essentially 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I kind of like getting the wide receiver. The other nice thing too is Jalen Hurts has been slipping a little bit. I don't know if probably unrealistic for him to slip back to us in the 5th round to 55, but I've seen him mid-5th, so that's in play too. We're about to pick at 3-7. I'm definitely interested to talk with you a little bit about Breece Hall because I think you are still higher on him than maybe people now freaking out about timeshare concerns. We still do have DJ Moore and Devontae Adams here, which both look really nice too. So I'm curious, how would you play this angle from a running back or wide receiver as we do have the choice between Breece Hall and those 2 wide receivers?
I would take Moore here. I do like Breece Hall a lot, but I think with this build, we've been kind of talking about making sure we have enough wide receiver firepower. And there's a chance that Hall comes back in the 4th. If he doesn't, there's also a chance we can get Omarion Hampton, who I really like as a 4th round pick right now. I think he has a lot of potential to rise. Like, he could easily be the Broncos starting running back week 1 with the 20th overall pick. So he's not going in the mid-4th if that happens.
Well, I think you're going to get bailed out on a couple of your aren't you worrieds and bully the sidekick, because Derrick Henry went off 1 pick before we took AJ Brown. So you didn't have a chance to even stiff arm the sidekick. And then with the elite quarterbacks here, Allen went after we took DJ Moore, and then the bully tight end drafter is now going bully quarterback. It has started Bowers, McBride, Lamar, Daniels. This might be the guy who was in my comments talking about a 12 wide receiver team, honestly. This could kind of go back to, aren't you worried? Do you grab an Omarion Hampton, or do you stack up AJ Brown with Jalen Hurts because you're underexposed to these elite QBs and now you got the stack there?
I'm either Rashee Rice or Omarion Hampton here. Those are the 2 guys that jump out to me. Both guys feel like they have a good chance to not be going here in the summer. Now, I am bullying the sidekick. The
sidekick saying, hey, Pat, remember how you're so underexposed to the elite quarterbacks here?
No, don't worry about it, sidekick. I'm taking Omarion Hampton, who's not going to be going here after the draft. You
mentioned Jeanty to the Bears, potentially unlocking that legendary upside. Do you think Omarion Hampton, let's say the Broncos, which is a very popular spot for him, a very clean spot too, as far as no competition, ascending offense, young QB, good coach, does Omarion Hampton have legendary upside on the Broncos?
He doesn't necessarily profile as just an absolute superstar out of the gate, which is what you need. To be a legendary running back at all, you have to be a superstar. And then to be one out of the gate, you got to be a really special back. So I don't have him as that kind of prospect. I think he's a really good prospect, but not really even in Jeanty's tier.
We will be on the clock in the 5th round here. There is the Tet falling. Tet would be fun if he were to fall and we could try to pull off the Dak Prescott Galbrain stack. Okay, he does get snapped.
He goes.
So what do you like here? Olave, Addison, Mixon, Metcalf via the sidekick, Hubbard, Trevion Henderson also up here.
I tend to take Olave here.
Yeah, let's do Olave and let's talk through it. People have been asking me about Olave. Obviously, we have the news with Derek Carr likely to miss the season. My take has kind of been, Derek Carr is just maybe slightly better than a bottom of the barrel quarterback who tanks the offense. My thought is, can it get much worse? Maybe a Desmond Ridder situation could really tank this offense, a Spencer Rattler situation, but they're going to invest in the quarterback position. Doesn't that unlock some upside with a similar floor to what Derek Carr had with Olave?
If he misses the entire season, it definitely could hurt. The good news is that it comes out before the draft and they pick 9th. So, now we could be talking about where Shedeur Sanders lands. We could be talking about them prioritizing quarterback trading into the back end of the 1st round and grabbing a dart or something like that. I do think it adds some volatility. Given Carr's contract next year, it was always likely that we were set up for them to be moving on after the season. And potentially that means them moving on to a quarterback who they drafted in the 3rd round because they weren't sure, if they were definitely going to move on. Having them plan to move on, like fully plan to move on ahead of the season, does have some benefits.
We are about to pick in the 6th round here. Sidekick really wanting us to go wide receiver. There are a few running backs at the top: Connor Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins. How would you like to play this?
I like Ridley a lot here. This is one that I fully agree with Sidekick on, and kind of just because this is the way we have it ranked. Like Ridley, I'm convinced that Ridley's ADP does not reflect Cam Ward going number 1 to the Titans. Unless they take like a Buka, at 33 or whatever, like unless there's another addition that kind of shakes up Ridley's locked in role. But if they go like Ward and then defense in round 2, I think people are going to be like, oh my God, what an upgrade.
Ever since Calvin Ridley has come back from his absence, post Falcons to go into the Jags, the underdog market has been extremely excited to draft Calvin Ridley. He was famously a 2nd-round pick after that training camp highlights that Davis saw and said, I need to start taking him at pick 17. Then last year, like I was with you in the leg up crew preferring DeAndre Hopkins cheaper last year. And people were still slamming him in the 5th round with Will Levis and, some competition. And now it's like the seas have parted. It's like, he's the only guy there. We know who his quarterback is going to be. We know that quarterback is going to be an upgrade. And now the market isn't frothy about Calvin Ridley. So we're on the clock here. And I will say, Matthew Golden as your wide receiver 5 with the potential for a little Dak Prescott Galbrain could be fun.
Let's do it.
So Quinshon Judkins went 1 pick before us. Where would you have been on Judkins versus Golden on this build?
On this build, I think I'm still Golden because we have 2 rookie running backs.
So we miss out on Caleb Williams. The Rome drafter took him about 10 spots ahead of ADP. We're on the clock here. Downs Ayuk at wide receiver, Jonnu at tight end, Bo Nix. If you want to take a stab on a naked quarterback, what do you like?
I think Downs is just undervalued. So that would be probably where I'd go. I kind of like just being deep at receiver.
We're about to be on the clock, Pat. We have 2 running backs, 6 wide receivers, no quarterbacks, no tight ends. Looking at stacking stuff, we do have the Cam Ward later. Dak, the question is, could we push him to the next round? Do we want to pull the trigger on something? What do you see here?
Let me see running back.
Yeah, running back, Sharbs and Scatabo definitely jump out. I feel like there's a tear breakdown to the Swift Pacheco B-Robs.
What's Dak's ADP?
Dak's 125, so we could wait.
I'm tempted to just grab him where we don't have like a guy really jumping out.
Yeah, and I've been doing the same thing in my drafts. The Best Ball Breakfast this week is titled the wide receiver or the quarterback avalanche is real and it's terrifying. And I've been taking I had a Ladd McConkey team, very similar spot to where we are right now, where I took him at 18 or something. And I took Herbert at this exact spot at pick 100 to 103 or whatever. 15, 16 spots. It's this is an extremely flat tier. The quarterback runs are nuts. I'm just locking up my stack and I'll worry about what's available the next round.
Yeah, when it's flat, going over to quarterback makes a lot of sense.
Cam Ward is definitely in play on this team. Yeah. Do you want to get your hands dirty with the Colts running back situation, or is the play to get another quarterback here in the next round or 2, try to pencil in Cam Ward, and that's how your 3 running back quarterback room is going to shake out?
Yeah, I mean, Drake May is someone that I think would make a lot of sense here. I would say it's DeAndre Swift or Drake May, depending on which you feel kind of more comfortable pushing, the RB3 or the quarterback 2.
I'm way more comfortable pushing the RB3. And I think when we look at the pocket of the board, the 127 is where we pick next. I mean, if we were able to get a Tank Bigsby, a Dylan Sampson, a Tootin, Trey Benson, I'm okay, even a Ford, I'm okay playing 2v2 on the quarterback there. We're now in pretty good, our quarterback situation is looking fine. Our wide receivers are locked and loaded. I still feel completely comfortable with kind of this double anchor rookie RB at the top. We're obviously staring down the barrel of late round tight end, but with Jake Ferguson and that correlation, and his ADP is 146, so we can even wait on him. I mean, Loveland at as an upside tight end at ADP could make sense to us. The running backs have thinned out a bit, but there's still Sampson, Tootin, Benson, Ford here.
If you look at the ADP on Ford, he's very similar to Ferguson. So if we wanted to get Ferguson and Ford, it would actually make sense to take one of them here, probably Ferguson, just to get the stack in our tight end 1. So I would probably lean him, because I think I'd rather come away with these next 2 picks with Ferguson, Ford than Loveland, Ferguson.
Okay. All right, so we'll grab Ferguson here. Yeah, this is always one of those tricky spots where it's like, do you want to play the ADP game and try to get 3 of them, or risk if you miss out on one of them that those are really key pieces to what the type of build you're trying to pull off?
Golden might not be on the Cowboys, so it is nice to just go ahead and get the stack with
that's
that,
true.
You know?
I've already just in my head the Galbraith. It's no longer Galbraith. It's just what is happening. Jerome Ford, it sounds like you on this build would obviously prefer him to, say, a comparable ADP rookie option because of that chaperone element of just saying, hey, even as much as we like Jeanty and Hampton, they might be having to cede some touches early on. Let's make sure we're not taking too many low scores at the first third of the season or whatever.
Yeah, and Ford is priced near guys that are the number 2 currently. You're looking at like taking a stab on a dude who might be the number 3, and versus Ford, who's currently the number 1. They're very likely to draft somebody, but when? Just really underpriced for, again, the kind of builds that I'm doing. Not that he's just an absolute smash or anything, but in the Rico Dowdle type of profile where it's just underpriced production in the double-digit rounds.
We are back on the clock with 3 running backs up here, Sampson, Benson, Ford, and this is a chance to kind of introduce some feathering that maybe the sidekick doesn't know that we don't want to have 3 rookie running backs.
It's something that, we don't have built in. I would like to kind of work toward a way to build that in, but as of now, this is not something that's factored in at all. So, I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of keep in mind, like the room you're building, when you're going to need these points, how these archetypes all fit together, and Ford is a very nice fit.
The next pick for us here in the 13th, if we can, should probably be Cam Ward.
Yeah, and one thing I think about too is like, do I have other outs? And with Carr kind of being off the menu now, we don't. I don't want to go. Is Richardson gone? Oh, come on.
He gets sniped on Cam Ward.
Yeah, so even Richardson's gone, I think.
By a team who could have waited on Darnold, but I guess they got sniped on McCarthy. But man, that hurts there. Oh, their 3rd QB there too. So how do we think about our 3rd QB at this point?
I mean, I don't think we do it here, unless. No, I don't think we do it here. So
no. Goddard paired with AJ Brown, like a little phantom stack there at tight end. Brenton Strange is here. Sidekick like some wide receivers. What do you think?
I like Goddard.
Yeah.
I don't think we need Dobbs as far as like kind of how our room's built out there. We're good.
Yeah. I agree. I also think probably next time we pick, we want to start thinking about Kyle Williams too, if we want to lock up him as a riser. We do see a couple running backs get snapped off here. Giddens, RJ Harvey.
Yeah, it's running back, or if we want to take care of the 3rd quarterback. So if you wanted to go Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson to stack with Downs. Richardson kind of works. We also don't need to go the 3rd quarterback, so it's not like something
we could also do
we have to
Daniel
force.
Jones last round too.
That's
if
true.
We wanted.
That's true.
Running backs, you're looking at Jalen Wright, Algier, Corum, Damian Martinez, kind of in an ADP grouping there. What do you think?
Any of those guys is good with me. Wright, Corum. I like Algier a lot.
Yeah. Let's do Algier as kind of in that same mold of a chaperone. We know he's going to have a standalone role, can certainly bank some touchdowns for us. He's going to, give us 5 to 6 points, floor if we need there at the start. I think that works decently.
Yeah, I like that.
We are about to be on the clock at pick 15-7. Hunter Henry, Damian Martinez definitely look interesting. Anything else you're seeing? And also we have the potential pull up on Kyle Williams.
I think Hunter Henry makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen is sitting here because he's like 50 picks past ADP, but I still don't want him. It's good to scoop ADP values most of the time.
We're talking about, mixing up bets. IMNR, Jack Best, Jalen Royals, Kyle Williams. It's just the steam on Williams as we get to the NFL draft is just so, and he does go.
Did he just go?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. It's hard. He's honestly hard to take.
Yeah.
People are reaching. People are really reaching.
Kyle Williams, he was the guy we were going to try to get. We put him in the top there at the questionnaire. But Ellick and Damian Martinez, either of those guys seem pretty nice if they fall back. The only other thing I was going to toss out is if we do kind of go with the Daniel Jones thing, you could take A.D. Mitchell, who the sidekick is suggesting, and set up the Daniel Jones double stack with Downs and A.D.
The Daniel Jones double stack is not seen. This is going to be like seen on the internet, right? Like people are going to watch this. I can't have this.
No,
Daniel
this
Jones
is just
double
for
stack.
me. This is the private files.
Honestly, the guy I would pull up here is Brashard Smith.
Brashard Smith. Yeah, and I would say, running back far more, I think, of a need, even with 6 wide receivers. We did 6 through 90 picks, so we were doing good there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smith is kind of the last rookie running back that I think has a real case to be a riser, in this pre-draft period, but hasn't risen a ton.
We have 4 more picks here, Pat. Our build is a 2-5-6-3, obviously good at tight end. Have caught up pretty nicely at running back with the Ford, Algier, Brashard Smith. I think we definitely want to do something at quarterback, obviously adding a receiver or 2 as well. And I think a guy like Will Shipley, who I know you guys are ahead of in the ranks, I like him a lot too. He can make sense as like a 6th running back as well.
We spent a 1st round pick and a 4th round pick at running back, but they're both rookies.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the investment, we're pretty good, but we're actually not that good in terms of, getting off to a fast start. Now there's not like fast start running backs to add, but I wouldn't mind a few more darts.
Tolbert, as far as ADP, getting that, potential double, triple stack with Dak could be good.
I like that.
He's one of those guys that never feels good when you don't have it stacked. But when you have it with the Dak there, I think that makes a lot of sense. This is like where you start to feel the tier break at running back, like you said, like the Martinez, Brashard Smith. Then once you're down to Jaden Blue, the Jarquez Hunters, it's like now draft capital really starts to be an issue.
It does, and like Jaden Blue's profile is not very strong. He's fast. He's like not that fast. He's not very productive. He's kind of an intriguing dart throw, but he's more like that like classic kind of dynasty dart throw, and not someone that you're expecting to really add production this year. Maybe the type of guy at the very end of a redraft you tack one, but you're expecting to cut. Shipley, I think, is kind of a smash here.
Yeah. The only other name I would consider, and I still prefer Shipley ahead, would be Kendre Miller.
Kenneth Gainwell's now in Pittsburgh, and so you get kind of the promotion from with Shipley there to the number 2, and then he's protected by Barkley. Where like, are they going to invest in running back? Like, no. Maybe they bring in a Shipley type, but I think this Shipley has the edge on the next Shipley as far as, earning trust and stuff.
We got 2 more picks, so we can kind of continue to think through the quarterback stuff. Dart and Daniel Jones are both still available. And then probably one more wide receiver here to get us update wide receivers.
Yep. I think if we're going to take the receiver, let's take Slayton.
Okay. You've always loved Slayton. I famously lost Slayton. Jalen Hyatt bet to you. So we'll go ahead and take Slayton here. I'm still paying for it.
At one point we've had multiple bets because I called him the best wide receiver on the Giants, and you took Mondale on the other side of that. And then Wandale tore his ACL. So
Wandale was going to win that bet until he got hurt.
I think I was ahead when he went down. I think I was ahead.
Is there someone that would jump out to you of saying you like, hey, this probably doesn't help us. I really want this guy instead. Would it be like a Torrey Horton as kind of a arbitrage Kyle Williams as far as a cheap rookie late kind of thing?
Yeah, that is kind of who jumps out. I think Horton is intriguing. Someone I add a lot of as a dart throw. And probably, I mean, the other way to go would be to add like a Trevor Etienne who's gonna have some capital, but we're probably okay at this point at running back. I don't know that we need it.
I think so. Up to 6 there. Pretty solid mixture. 3 rookies, 3 vets. Your call. I think I slightly lean to Daniel Jones, but I don't feel strongly.
We can go Jones. Okay.
All right, Pat, I'm going to read off this team and get your final thoughts here. We end up with a 3-6-8-3. Dak Prescott, Drake May, Daniel Jones, Ashton Jeanty, Omarion Hampton, Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, Brashard Smith, Will Shipley, A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, Josh Downs, Jalen Tolbert, Darius Slayton, and then tight ends Jake Ferguson, Goddard, Henry. Also, just checking in on the questionnaire, we, of course, got our running back, Ashton Jeanty, with legendary upside there early in the first round. We didn't get a chance to get bullied by the sidekick on Derrick Henry or the elite quarterbacks. We did land the Galbrain stack.
We got off Hurts.
Yeah. Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
And then we got the Galbrain stack of Dak Prescott to Matthew Golden. And then we just barely got sniped on the FOMO dart of Kyle Williams, and instead got the exciting Daniel Jones as a consolation prize, I suppose. What do you think?
I like to think Brashard Smith was the consolation prize.
True.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's a fun build. I think pivoting to Dak, like, basically saved the team. I think we would have felt pretty locked out at quarterback had we not done that, because we got sniped on Ward. We kind of had him penciled in as one of the quarterbacks on this team. So that was really, really good. You mentioned him about 20 picks ahead of ADP. So I'm really glad we did that. And then I think May as the quarterback 2 worked out really nicely. Getting at least 2 quarterbacks in that window is important. By that point, I want to have at least 2 on almost every build. And then if you want to add like a Daniel Jones or a Dart or a Shador or even a Milrow late, I think that's fine. But you have enough quarterback stability to where, we're used to Dak Prescott and Drake May. We're used to in 18 round drafts. That's a 2 quarterback build. They don't have the same bye, and we have 18 rounds. Like, we're building 2 quarterbacks with those dudes very confidently. So, But yeah, I love that Golden got us over to Dak for that Galbrain stack, which ultimately ended up being important structurally.
And the thing that's so fun about it is you can remove the Golden Galbrain elements. They doesn't go there. We still have a double stack with Tolbert and Ferguson. It accomplished getting a quarterback as they were flying off the shelves. And then Matthew Golden made a ton of sense as a one-off, really volatile rookie wide receiver on a team that already has 4 veterans who we kind of know what we're going to get from them. So I think even the Galbrain nature of it worked out structurally.
We also got Ferguson and Tolbert. So we just did a backdoor stack with Dak, and we banked Golden going there as like a bonus as opposed to what the stack is built around.
Yeah, and like you said, I think really the only thing that really sucked was the Cam Ward snipe.
That did suck.
Because if you swap out Daniel Jones for Cam Ward, then all of a sudden,
who did we take instead of Cam? Was
Goddard.
It Goddard? Yeah, that's
which was already like
so much worse.
Like that 2v2 is just so, because then it goes Cam Ward, then we don't take Daniel Jones, and then we take like a Harold Fannin Jr. or something as our tight end 3.
Yeah, I would take that trade all day.
So unfortunate, but accomplished a decent amount of our objectives here, Pat. And we only have, by the time this comes out, a little bit more time before the big board closes. I'm going to have plenty more of these draft style, questionnaires and drafts with guests as the heart of the NFL drafting season approaches. But Pat, you have a ton of content, both getting ready for the NFL draft and obviously coming after as well. Let people know what's going on at Legendary Upside.
Yeah, so I'm working on my wide receiver profiles right now, which I'm hoping to get one published tonight if I can. The first one of those, because got to get these out. But all my stuff on the running backs is already on the site. Quarterbacks, tight ends, that's all up there. Michael Dudner's been doing some work on trying to predict the closing line value of these players. Had a really good piece on the running backs that's out. We've got best ball rankings, dynasty rankings. And you can check out the Sidekick at legendaryupside.com/sidekick. Learn more about it there. As I mentioned, we are kind of hard at work on adding some stuff for later in the summer. But yeah, supports DraftKings and Underdog for pre-draft best ball, post-draft best ball, dynamic rankings.
Awesome. And if you want to see Pat and I together every week, Ship Chasing, over on the Ship Chasing channel, we're also going to have a big draft stream extravaganza. It's an annual tradition there where we simulcast alongside the NFL draft, bring on some guests, have a very good time as those round one picks trickle in. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time here on the Deposit Kingdom channel. Peace.